In this lesson, we'll learn how to search for nodes and organize our shaders here inside of Maya. Okay, I'm starting here in this particular lesson with a blank scene, and the first thing I'd like to do is go ahead and open up my Hypershade. So we'll just come over to Window, Rendering Editors, and Hypershade. Once that loads up, you'll see here a very familiar window for you at this point in this particular course. So the one thing I wanted to show you here, obviously we've seen exactly how many nodes exist here inside of Maya, just almost a ridiculous number of different things. And one thing that can make finding exactly the node that you're looking for maybe a little bit easier is if we come over here to this search bar right here. Now what I can do, let's say that in, whatever situation I'm in, I know that I've seen a grid texture somewhere here inside of my Hypershade. So what I can just simply do is type the word grid right there. And you can see here what it does is it filters out all of the different nodes by what we type here. Now, at this point, what you should understand is I have none of these categories selected right now. But as soon as I select one, you can see here, maybe if I select the surface materials inside of the Maya, there we go. You can see here that my grid texture has now disappeared. So basically what we're able to do is use this list and whichever category we select on as sort of a filter for this search. So right now Maya is looking inside the surface category here for things called grid, and it's not returning any results. However, if we come down to our 2D textures and select that, you can see that's where that grid texture lives. So when you want to come in here and sort of reset this back to where you don't have any categories selected, all you need to do is simply click on the empty area right down here. Let me just go ahead and select the surface category, and you can see if I click down here, again it clears that selection or that filter. So basically this is a really quick and easy way to search for exactly a material that you may be looking for. So now one thing that you always need to remember to do after you've used this search bar is you need to remember to manually clear this out. This isn't something that clears out on its own, so I'll just select the word grid here and we'll delete it. And you can see here that by doing that, all of my nodes, they reappear. Okay, fantastic. So let's come over here and talk a little bit about favorites. So if we were to come in here, let's say that I really like that grid texture, 2D texture for the grid. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to save that as a favorite. Well, Maya does include favorites here, and you can see right up here at the very top of the Create bar, we have favorites, and it says Maya. So if I click on the little plus sign, you can see here that there's already some favorites saved in there. So if I come in and select Maya, you can see here that what it's showing me are all the surface materials that I have currently saved as favorites. So if we wanted to come over here maybe and save the 2D grid texture as a favorite, all we would need to do is simply right-click on that guy and simply choose Add to Favorites right there. And you can see that by doing that, what happens is 2D textures gets added as sort of a category underneath my favorites. And you can see here, if I click on those, there's my grid texture. Now, if you've ever added something to your favorites and you do need to remove it from your favorites, all you need to do is simply come up here and right-click again and choose Remove from Favorites. Pretty simple. But this favorite system is another way to help you sort of sift through all of these different nodes that Maya offers you. So we've looked at a couple of different ways. I want to kind of switch gears for just a moment here, and I want to talk to you about another feature that's included here in the Hypershade, and it's called bins. And now, to access bins, we actually come over here to this tab right here. And you can see that right now, inside my scene, I currently have one bin called the Master Bin. Now, in order to demonstrate this, I'm going to need to drop in some materials. So, let's just come in and drop in maybe a Blinn. I'll come in and drop in a Phong. And why not? Let's drop in a Lambert. There we go. We've got all three of these guys inside my scene. Now, just to make things a little more clear, let me just drag my Hypershade over to the left a little bit so we can take a look at the attribute editor. And I'll just simply double click on each one of these and give them a little bit different color. Maybe this guy is going to be kind of an orange. Maybe this guy is going to be a blue. And let's make this guy, let's make him a green. All right, fantastic. So with these three materials created, let's go back over to bins. Let me just jump back to that tab really quickly here. Now, a bin will become quite a bit more useful to you when you start dealing with more complex scenes and numerous shading networks that may exist within those scenes, because basically this is a way to sort all of the different shading networks that you've built. So right now I have here a master bin, but if I wanted to create a bin, maybe for this orange Phong right here, we could do that a couple of different ways. What we could do here is we can come up to these buttons right above the master bin, and let's click on this second one. Basically, by doing that, what's going to happen is Maya's going to create a new bin for us from whatever is selected. Being that I have Phong 1 selected, let's just call this bin something like Orange Materials. If I hit OK, you'll see here that a new sub-bin, or a bin underneath the master bin, gets created, and it's called Orange Materials. Now, that's not the only way we can do this. If I just come over here and just deselect that particular material, I'm actually going to click on this button on the left, because this is going to allow me to create an empty bin. Let's just call this one something like Blue Materials. Fantastic. Now, in order to add this blend right here to that Blue Materials bin, all I need to do is middle click on that guy, drag him, and drop him in there. Now, what's cool about these bins is that we can select a bin, and that will filter all of the materials here inside of our tabs to just the materials that are sorted by that particular bin. So if I click on my blue materials, you can see there's my blue material. And again, the orange materials, and there we go. Again, this is a useful feature inside of Maya once you begin working with more complex scenes that really have a number of different materials and really shading networks that you've created, and you really find yourself needing to kind of sift through tons and tons and tons of different items here inside the Materials tab. All right, fantastic. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to walk through the process of creating really our own custom shading network.